Hello, everyone. Welcome to Voice of English. This is the place where you can learn English by listening and practicing every day. Each day, we share simple lessons and helpful tips to help you speak English better and with confidence. So, get ready to listen, learn, and speak English naturally. In today's episode, we're diving into something every English learner dreams of: how to talk English without thinking. Sounds magical, right? Speaking naturally, fluently, without mentally translating or hesitating. Well, it's not magic, it's a skill. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to train your brain to speak English without overthinking every word. You've been learning English for years, but when it's time to speak, your brain freezes. You know the words. You know the grammar, but your mouth won't move. Or worse, you translate every sentence in your head before speaking. Sounds familiar? What if I told you that the secret to speaking English fluently is to stop thinking in English altogether? Yeah, you heard that right. The less you think, the better you speak. Let me ask you something. Why can you speak your native language without hesitation, but English feels like solving a math problem? Why does your mind go blank the moment someone says, "Tell me about yourself" in English? And most importantly, can you actually rewire your brain to speak English naturally without translating? In this video, we're diving deep into a powerful system that can help you speak English the same way you breathe, automatically, effortlessly, and confidently. Whether you're a student, a working professional, or just someone who's tired of feeling stuck every time you try to speak, this is for you. You'll learn why you keep overthinking when you speak, how your brain blocks you without you realizing it, and most importantly, the exact techniques to make English feel as natural as your first language. No more hesitating. No more blank stares. No more, how do I say that? Just natural, fluent conversation. From your brain straight to your mouth. Ready to learn the science, the hacks, and the real strategies that work? Let's go. Section 2. Why you overthink in English. Let's be honest. Speaking English often feels like you're running a mental marathon. You're juggling grammar, vocabulary, sentence structure, pronunciation, all while trying not to embarrass yourself. But here's the question. Why does your brain do this mental overload in the first place? It all starts with how most people learn English. From day one, we're taught to memorize. Memorize grammar rules. Memorize word lists. Memorize dialogues. That don't even sound human. Think back. How many times have you learned "the cat is on the table"? Yet no one's ever said that to you in real life. Here's the problem. You're trying to speak a language with the same part of your brain you use to solve math problems. That part of your brain is logical, slow, analytical, and, unfortunately, it's terrible at conversation. Speaking is not a math test. It's a reflex, a reaction. It should happen instantly, like dodging a ball or saying "bless you" when someone sneezes. Let me give you a simple comparison. When a baby learns a language, do they study grammar rules? No. They listen. They absorb. They imitate. But when you learned English in school, you were told past perfect, third conditional, modal verbs. And so every time you want to speak, your brain checks this imaginary grammar book in your head, and you freeze. Another big reason? Fear. We overthink because we're afraid of making mistakes. We imagine people laughing at our accent, judging our grammar, correcting every tiny slip-up. So we build mental pressure. What if I say this wrong? What if I forget the word? What if they don't understand me? And that fear creates hesitation. Hesitation becomes silence, and silence kills fluency. And then there's perfectionism. You want to say it the right way, the perfect sentence, the perfect pronunciation, the perfect grammar. But in real life, nobody speaks perfectly all the time, not even native speakers. They mess up, correct themselves, start over, and that's okay. Perfection is a trap, and the more you chase it, the more you delay fluency. Now, let's break a myth. Thinking before speaking is not a sign of intelligence in language learning. It's a sign that the language hasn't become automatic yet. Think about driving. At first, you check the mirrors, every signal, every pedal. But after a while, you just drive without thinking. Language fluency works the same way. The more you practice the right way, the more your brain creates shortcuts. And eventually, it speaks for you. And that brings us to another reason. You're practicing the wrong way. Many learners spend hours studying English but barely spend time using English in real conversation. It's like reading about swimming every day but never jumping into the pool. If you only study grammar rules in a textbook, your brain becomes good at taking tests, not having conversations. But if you engage with the language through speaking, listening, mimicking, and repeating, your brain begins to recognize patterns and speak naturally. But here's the twist. Even though overthinking feels like the enemy, it's actually a clue. It tells you your brain is still in study mode. And the moment you switch to real conversation mode, your fluency starts rising fast. Section 3. The power of automatic speech. So how do you go from thinking every word to speaking naturally? It all comes down to one thing: automatic speech. Automatic speech means your brain produces English the same way it produces your native language, without conscious effort. You don't calculate grammar, you don't translate. It just comes out. Here's a simple example. If someone asks, "What's your name?" you don't pause and think, "Let's see. Subject, verb. My name is..." You just say it. It's automatic. The key to fluency isn't more knowledge. It's access to that knowledge without thinking. Let me explain with a fun fact. Studies show that native speakers use about 2,000 common word combinations over and over again. Not 20,000, just 2,000. These are phrases like, "I don't know." "What do you mean?" "It depends." "That's a good idea." Now here's the kicker. They don't build these sentences word by word. They retrieve them from memory as a chunk, like a single block. Like muscle memory. When you speak your native language, you don't construct each sentence. Your brain pulls entire expressions instantly. That's what you need in English. Let's do a little test. If I say, "Nice to," your brain probably filled in "meet you" without effort. That's automatic speech. You didn't think about grammar. You didn't analyze tenses. It just came. The more phrases you store as chunks, the faster and smoother your speaking becomes. Your brain doesn't work harder. It works smarter. And guess what? This is exactly how babies learn language. They don't start with grammar books. They start by absorbing sound patterns, day after day. They hear "give me that," and they don't know what give means, but they use it. Over time, it becomes automatic. Adults can do the same, but we've been trained to understand before using. That's a mistake. In fact, automatic speech is already happening in your brain, just in your native language. You can speak for hours without planning your sentences. That same system exists for English, but you have to build it manually. Let's use music as another example. Think of a musician playing a song. The first time they read every note carefully, slowly. But after enough repetition, boom, it becomes muscle memory. That's what you're aiming for with English, fluency as a reflex. So how do you get there? Here's the secret formula. Listen to real natural English constantly. Repeat the same expressions over and over. Use the phrases in real situations. It's not about cramming. It's about exposure, repetition, and real-world usage. In the next section, I'll show you the biggest mistake that blocks people from building automatic speech and how to avoid it so you can start speaking freely. Section 4. The number one mistake learners make. All right, we've talked about automatic speech. Now it's time to expose the single biggest trap that kills your fluency. Here it is, translating every word in your head before speaking. Sound familiar? You want to say something in English, but first, your brain says it in your native language. Then you try to find the English words. Then you worry about the grammar. And by the time you're ready, the conversation has already moved on. This is the fluency killer. Why is translating so dangerous? Because translation slows your brain down. It forces your mind to take a detour. Instead of going straight to the destination, speaking English, your brain stops at a translation station, builds the sentence, and then sends it out. And let's be real. English and your native language don't match one-to-one. Here's a quick example. In Spanish, you might say, tengo 30 años. Literally, I have 30 years. But in English, we say, I am 30 years old. If you try to translate word for word, it just sounds weird. Fluency comes when you think in English, or better yet, feel the language, not translate it. Now here's the second part of the problem. Grammar obsession. So many learners are trapped in grammar jail. They're terrified of saying something wrong. They focus so much on rules that they forget to speak. But guess what? Native speakers break grammar rules all the time, and no one cares. They say gonna instead of going to. They say ain't instead of isn't. They use fragments, slang, and shortcuts. Why? Because communication is the goal, not perfection. If you're always thinking, is this the right tense? Or should I use present perfect? You're not speaking. You're stuck in analysis mode. And remember this. You don't need perfect grammar to be fluent. You need real communication. Let me be super clear. Your brain was never designed to build perfect sentences in real time. It's designed to recognize patterns, repeat them, and respond automatically. So if you're still translating and overloading your brain with grammar, you're putting up your own fluency roadblocks. Here's the good news. You can fix this. In the next section, I'll show you how your brain rewires itself for natural language and how to trigger that change starting today. Section 5. Neuroplasticity and Language Learning. Let's talk about something powerful. Something that can literally reshape your brain. It's called neuroplasticity, and it's the secret to speaking English without thinking. Neuroplasticity is your brain's ability to adapt, rewire, and build new pathways. That means your brain can change itself, even as an adult, to become fluent in a new language. Now here's the exciting part. Every time you hear a new English phrase and repeat it, your brain forms a connection. Repeat it again. That connection gets stronger. Use it in conversation. That pathway becomes faster. Soon, it fires automatically, without thinking. That's neuroplasticity in action. You're not just memorizing English, you're physically rebuilding your brain to speak it. But here's what most learners get wrong. They think their brain is fixed, that if they're bad at languages, they always will be. That's a myth. Science shows that your brain stays plastic, changeable, for your entire life. In fact, adults have a powerful advantage over children. They can learn smarter if they use the right methods. So what are the right methods? Here's the key. You must immerse your brain in English every day, not just study it. To be means feeding your brain English through listening, reading, watching, repeating, and most importantly, interacting. The more English your brain gets, the more patterns it sees. And your brain loves patterns. That's how it learns. Now you might ask, but what if I make mistakes? Great. That's how your brain grows even faster. When you make a mistake and correct it, your brain says, "Oh, that's not right. Let's fix it." And that correction builds a stronger, faster connection. Let me give you an example. A study with adult learners showed that people who repeated phrases out loud and heard native examples daily learned faster and remembered better than those who just studied rules or vocabulary lists. That's because active engagement triggers neuroplasticity. Passive reading? Not so much. But shadowing, mimicking, speaking out loud, using the language in context, that's where the rewiring happens. Think of your brain like a muscle. You don't build muscles by reading about push-ups. You build them by doing push-ups over and over again. The same goes for speaking English. Every time you repeat a phrase like, "Can I help you?" or "I'd like to order," you're lifting a tiny English weight. And over time, those weights stack up into fluency. One more thing. Consistency is more powerful than intensity. Practicing for 20 minutes every day rewires your brain faster than studying 3 hours once a week, because what you do daily becomes what your brain considers important. And what's important becomes automatic. So don't worry about being perfect. Focus on being consistent. The rewiring will happen. The fluency will come. Section 6. The input flooding method. If there's one method that can transform your fluency faster than anything else, it's this: input flooding. Sounds intense, right? That's because it is, but in the best way possible. So, what is input flooding? It's the practice of flooding your brain with massive amounts of real, understandable English input every single day, until the patterns of the language become so familiar they just flow out of your mouth without effort. Think of it like this. Imagine you're learning to swim. You can watch videos, read instructions, learn techniques, but you won't truly learn until you jump into the water. Input flooding is your jump. Except instead of water, it's podcasts, YouTube videos, movies, audiobooks, conversations in English. But here's the secret. The input has to be comprehensible. That means it should be slightly above your current level. Not so easy that you're bored, not so hard that you're lost. You should understand at least 80–90% of it. Enough to follow the meaning, but still be challenged. This is what legendary linguist Dr. Stephen Krashen called comprehensible input, and it's the foundation of natural language learning. Now, let's get practical. How do you flood your brain? Step 1. Choose your English environment. Forget the textbook. Choose native materials that you actually enjoy. YouTube videos with subtitles, Netflix shows with dialogue you understand, audiobooks of stories you love, podcasts on topics that interest you, even memes, tweets, and Reddit threads. This isn't study, it's daily English exposure. In the wild. The key is consistency. Your brain needs to hear the rhythms, the sounds, the flow of English constantly, just like a baby does with their first language. Step 2. Listen, read, repeat, constantly. Flooding doesn't mean once a day. It means as much as possible. While commuting, during meals, on walks before sleeping, even during workouts, you're turning your entire life into an English learning ecosystem. And that's when the magic starts happening. Let's take an example. You watch a 5-minute English video every morning, repeat the key phrases, and shadow the speaker's voice. After 1 week, those sentences will come out of your mouth without thinking. Why? Because your brain has seen the same pattern over and over, and it learns by pattern recognition. Now multiply that across hours of content. You're no longer studying English. You're absorbing it. You're living it. Step 3. Repetition creates fluency. Don't just watch something once and move on. Rewatch, re-listen, reread. Fluency doesn't come from exposure. It comes from repeated exposure. Repetition doesn't make it boring. It makes it automatic. Ask yourself, can I repeat this phrase exactly? Can I use it in a different sentence? Can I say it with the same speed and tone? If the answer is no, listen again. Repeat again. Until it's easy. Remember, muscle memory is built with reps, not rules. Step 4. Don't translate. Absorb meaning. When input flooding, stop translating in your head. Instead, focus on the feeling and meaning of what you're hearing. For example, if you hear "I'm on it," don't think, "What does on mean here?" Just notice the context. Someone gives a task. The reply is "I'm on it." It means, "I'll do it." The more your brain links English directly to situations, not translations, the faster fluency kicks in. That's how native speakers process language. And that's what you're training your brain to do. Step 5. Shadowing plus input. Supercharge. Here's where things get explosive. When you combine input flooding with shadowing, speaking along with what you hear, your brain goes from passive to active mode. Now you're not just hearing English, you're producing it, matching the rhythm, copying the pronunciation. This duo, flooding and shadowing, is the fastest path to speaking without thinking. We'll break shadowing down in detail in the next section. But here's the main takeaway. The more English you put into your brain, the more English will come out. It's that simple. So make it your mission to flood your environment with high-quality English. Drown out your native language, just for a while. Your brain will adapt, just like it always does. When you're ready to speak, you won't need to search for words. They'll just be there. Section 7. Shadowing Technique and Speaking Practice. We've flooded the brain with English. Now it's time to train your mouth to keep up. This is where one of the most powerful language tools comes in, the shadowing technique. It's not new. It's not complicated, but it's a complete game changer for speaking English without thinking. So, what is shadowing? Shadowing is when you listen to a native speaker and speak at the same time, repeating what they say as they say it, with no pause. You're not just repeating the words. You're copying the rhythm, tone, emotion, and pronunciation, almost like an actor imitating a role. Think of it like singing along to your favorite song. At first, you mumble a few words, then you catch the chorus. After a while, you can sing the whole thing, without effort. That's shadowing. It's the closest thing to real conversation practice without needing a partner. Why does shadowing work so well? Because it trains both parts of fluency. Your brain, to recognize natural sentence patterns, your mouth, to produce those patterns smoothly and instantly. It's like combining listening, speaking, and pronunciation in one powerful exercise. Plus, it forces you to keep going. No time to overthink. You hear it, you say it, instantly. That's automatic speech training at its finest. How to do shadowing step by step. Step 1. Choose short, real English content. Start with 1 to 2 minute clips from YouTube, TED Talks, Netflix, or podcasts. Use content with clear speech and subtitles. Step 2. Listen once. No speaking. Just watch or listen and understand the meaning. Focus on pronunciation, tone, and pacing. Step 3. Listen again and shadow immediately. Play the video or audio again. This time, speak along with it. Copy the speaker word for word as they speak. Don't stop. Even if you miss a word, keep going. Flow is more important than perfection. Step 4. Repeat 3 to 5 times. With each round, your confidence grows. You start catching more words. Your rhythm improves. You begin to sound like the speaker. Step 5. Record yourself. Yes, it's awkward, but it's also powerful. Play back your shadowing and compare it with the original. Notice your pronunciation, pacing, and tone. Then repeat. Improve. Lock it in. Pro. Tips to maximize. Shadowing. Start with slow speakers, like English learning YouTubers or TED-Ed. Use subtitles the first time, then go without focus on common phrases and real-life expressions. Shadow daily, even just 5 minutes. Consistency builds fluency. You'll be shocked how quickly you start speaking with rhythm and confidence. Here's what shadowing does over time. You stop hesitating, you start matching native flow. You break free from robotic textbook English. You feel fluent because you're training like a fluent speaker. And here's the best part. It doesn't take years. You can feel the results after just a few days. Your brain already has the input. Shadowing turns it into output. So if you want to speak English like you breathe, naturally, automatically, shadowing is your workout. Do it daily. Get stronger. Speak better. Section 8. Real-life stories of fluency without thinking. By now, you might be thinking, okay, this all sounds great, but does it really work? Let me introduce you to a few people who prove that yes, it absolutely does. Story 1. Anna from Brazil. From grammar nerd to fluent speaker, Anna spent 6 years studying English in school. She knew the rules, the tenses, the theory. But when it came to speaking, total panic. She'd freeze, translate, get frustrated. Then she discovered shadowing and input flooding. She started watching sitcoms with subtitles, repeating lines out loud every morning. 10 minutes a day, every day. 6 months later, she gave a full presentation at her international job, in English, without notes. She didn't become fluent by learning more. She became fluent by practicing differently. Story 2. Hamid from Egypt. Learned English at 35. Hamid always thought he was too old to learn fluently. But instead of giving up, he created his own daily English immersion routine. Podcasts during his commute, shadowing in the evenings, video calls with English speakers once a week. He didn't aim for perfection. He aimed for progress. And that's what created fluency. After just 9 months, Hamid joined group meetings in an American company. Not only did he understand everything, he participated naturally. He said, "I stopped translating. I just started responding." That's automatic speech in action. Story 3. May from Taiwan. Introvert turned confident communicator. May never liked speaking in public, even in her own language. But she wanted to study abroad and needed to pass an English interview. So she did one thing. Shadowed 5 minutes a day. TED Talks, YouTube interviews, Netflix scenes. She repeated them out loud like an actor rehearsing a script. She even practiced smiling while speaking to reduce tension and sound more relaxed. 3 months later, she nailed the interview and got accepted. Not because her grammar was perfect, but because her English felt natural. All of these learners started where you are now, stuck, hesitant, and doubting themselves. What changed? They built a system. They stopped learning English with their logic and started learning with their ears, mouths, and consistency. If they did it, so can you. Section 9. Your Daily Speaking Routine Blueprint. You don't need hours every day. You need a system you can actually stick to, one that builds fluency automatically. Here's your daily speaking routine blueprint. A step-by-step plan to speak English without thinking, using just 30-45 minutes a day. Morning. Input activation. 10-15 minutes. Start your day by waking up your brain in English. What to do? Watch a 5-minute native English video with subtitles. Shadow. The video immediately afterward, phrase by phrase. Pick one new expression and use it in a sentence out loud. This is your warm-up. You're training your ear, your mouth, and your confidence. First thing. Pro tip. Use videos you enjoy. Motivation matters. Afternoon. Passive flooding. 15 to 20 minutes. Now it's time to flood your brain passively. What to do? Listen to an English podcast, audiobook, or YouTube video while commuting, walking, cooking, or exercising. Choose something fun and easy to follow. No pausing, no stopping, just absorb. Don't worry if you don't catch every word. You're training your brain to get used to the sounds and flow of English. This is background fluency training. It builds your language reflexes. Evening, Speaking activation, 10 to 15 minutes. Now it's time to speak. What to do? Choose one topic you care about, like your day, a memory, or your opinion. Record yourself speaking about it for 2 to 3 minutes. No script. Then listen to your recording and write down 1 or 2 sentences you struggled with. Rewrite them correctly and repeat them out loud 3 times. You're identifying your weak spots and fixing them, like a personal coach. Optional bonus. Do a 10-minute speaking session on apps like HelloTalk, Cambly, or with a language exchange. Partner. Nothing beats real conversation. Why this routine works. Morning trains your speaking reflex. Afternoon trains your listening exposure. Evening builds your active confidence. It's short. It's simple. And it rewires your brain every single day. Now, I won't lie. The results won't come overnight. But if you follow this blueprint for 30 days, you will feel different. Less hesitation, more flow, more confidence. And best of all, less thinking. If you've made it this far, here's the truth you need to hear. You already have everything it takes to speak English fluently. The real problem isn't your memory. It's not your accent. It's not even your grammar. It's the belief that you need to think before you speak. You don't. You need to trust the process. Remember this. No fluent speaker ever became fluent by memorizing alone. They got there by doing the boring things. Again and again, until fluency felt like breathing. The path is simple, but not easy. It's repeating the same expressions until they feel natural. It's shadowing voices until they become your voice. It's flooding your brain with English until it feels normal. So if you ever feel stuck, ask yourself, did I practice today? Did I speak, even just to myself? Did I push through even when it felt uncomfortable? Fluency isn't a finish line. It's a daily decision. Let go of perfection. Embrace progress. You will forget words. You will mess up grammar. You will feel awkward sometimes. And guess what? That's exactly how you grow. The people who speak effortlessly are not the smartest. They're the most consistent. They kept going when others quit. They practiced when no one was watching. So starting today, I challenge you. Watch one English video every morning and shadow it. Listen to English every day, even when you're tired. Talk to yourself in English, even if it, feels silly. Build your daily routine and follow it, no matter what. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to show up, over and over again. And soon, you'll find yourself saying full sentences, answering questions, making jokes, without thinking. Not because you're lucky, but because you earned it. Remember, you speak your native language fluently not because you studied it, but because you lived it. Now it's time to live English and make it yours. If this video helped you, hit that like button to help more learners. And subscribe to the channel, because this is just the beginning of your journey to effortless English. You've got this.